What's up, YouTube? It's your guy Zeus back again, this time with a story time. As I promised yesterday in my video, I'm talking about my experience in an Amazon warehouse. If many of you don't know what it's like working in an Amazon warehouse, I will tell you it is the worst job I've ever had. And it's diabolical. The start of working in an Amazon warehouse is picking your shift. These are normally either 12-hour shifts or 10-hour shifts. And because I was young and dumb and I wanted money, I decided overnight 12s is the best shift possible. So you would get to the point where you get to go into work at 6:30 p.m. and you get off at 7 a.m. and all for the great hourly rate of $17.40 an hour at the time that I worked this job. The job would be around 4 years ago for me. So 5 years ago for me. It'd be right at the beginning of COVID era. That would be later in 2020. And yeah, I thought that I have no experience, so get a warehouse job. It'll be fun, they said. It'll be great, they said. Spoiler, it's terrible. When you first apply for the job, you have to apply online. You put all your information in, and basically they make sure that you're not some crazy person or a felon. I believe those are the two requirements. But surprise, there's still crazy people and felons who work at Amazon. But to initially go in for your quote-unquote interview, you walk into this huge warehouse, and they have this huge office section dedicated to the entire hiring process, So, I mean, you can just imagine I'm a young 18-year-old man, little boy, walking into this huge office building, by the way, which is like the size of like a mall, because it's still inside the factory. And you have to go get your appointment set, and you will eventually get into this massive queue at the time. I mean, like, the line was huge. You have probably like 100 people in front of you. Like, there was anywhere from 18-year-olds to fucking 75-year-olds in this line. And it's all in this, like, nice, air-conditioned, whitewashed office building with those little stupid 4-foot plastic poles that have the little stupid belt nylon that like connect them together through the that sliding mechanism. Like, you'd see it like a movie theater or something, like, and it wraps around this entire office building just because there's that many people there. And you go in, you give them like your ID and all your documents, and then they make you do a drug test, and this all in all was really quick considering how there was so many freaking people in front of me. I think it only took me like an hour or two. I thought there was going to be some sort of interview. I don't know why. I thought, oh yeah, this factory job that employs hundreds of people a day is going to have a nice interview for me to sit down and talk to the managers and let me get to know them and know their name. Yeah, I did not get to do any of that. But after you do that, they start your process, and you'll get a email, either you got the job or you didn't. You have to do this 20-hour online training class where they tell you not to break the law and how to do your job. Kinda. The entire point of this online training is just kind of the policies and procedures for Amazon, but they don't really go over what you're going to be doing, because when you get there, you'll go to your orientation, and they just kind of pick a job for you randomly. I had no say whatsoever on what I got to be doing. Thankfully, I got a job that I hated, but was okay for the most part, considering how some of the jobs inside of this place are tragic, to say the least. I got to go to work at the shipping docks, and I was on the outbound side, so I was loading all the trucks. There's a few things you can do in this area. Taking the packages, putting them on pallets, wrapping those. There's also a job where you can take those pallets, load them onto the truck. Those two jobs are a little annoying. Bad, but not as bad as one particular spot in the outbound docks. And the reason why this specific portion of the outbound docks sucks is because you're dealing with plastic totes. I don't know if you know what a plastic tote is, but it's basically a bin. Something you'd put like for organizational or for the whole purpose of just storing something in a bin. The problem with that is that you're not moving a singular bin. You are moving thousands of bins in a 12-hour shift. And they might range anywhere from a couple pounds, it's some light makeup or some jewelry or whatever. But I was doing this when like the PS5s were like coming in, and sometimes there'd be like 7 or 8 PS5s in the box, which by the way is heavy as crap. The entire boxes are all put in together in the tote, and they start to dig into your fingers, probably either on your palm or like into your actual crevice of your finger. And you might be thinking, okay, well, that probably sucks, but it has an additive effect, remember, because you're not just working a singular 12-hour shift. You got to work on the next night and the next night. And Lord, let me tell you, boy, after your third shift, your fingers hurt. Like, dang, them fingers hurt, boy. They hurt pretty bad. And to the point where you can barely move them. I mean, they're that stiff from just being in that position. The problem with loading all these totes is that you're loading them from a 3-foot, maybe 3.5-foot conveyor belt onto a pallet and stacking them, meaning that you're twisting with it too. So it's not just your hands, it's your legs and your waist, because you're twisting. But you're also in a factory, which is hot as crap, because there's a bajillion machines running. And surprise, Amazon has no AC. Isn't that crazy? They don't air condition their warehouse. Aren't they such great people? But that's only a problem in the summertime, because when it's the wintertime, there's no heat. You might be thinking, oh, all the machines are heating it up, like you said earlier, just 2 seconds ago. But there's no insulation in the warehouses. And the bay doors are open, like for the semi-trucks to back into them. Notice how I said bay doors, because there might be 50 or 60 bay doors open. And if you don't think, you live in the Midwest and it can get like negative and it's snowing and there's a huge breeze, you're wrong. It's cold. It's crap. And the problem with that is that because there's no insulation and there's no ventilation, that's another problem. There's no ventilation. There's hot spots and cold spots in the entire facility. Right, like luckily enough, I was on the base floor because I was on the shipping docks. But the factory had 5 floors. Let that sink in for a second. It had 5 frickin' floors. So, if I thought it was hot in the summertime, because there's no AC or ventilation, on the first floor, imagine being on the 5th floor, which I've been up there a couple times, and it is freaking terrible. It's 90, 100 degrees up there. And you might think, yeah, those are some pretty bad working conditions. But you forgot that Amazon only cares about their productivity. So They don't like when you go to the bathroom. Now, that might seem crazy to you. You're a robot for Amazon. They don't want you to go to the bathroom. They don't want you getting water. They don't want you doing anything that's not moving product. And when you're moving all this product, you're expected to do it at a consistent rate. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, you start at 6:30 and you end at 7 a.m. Maybe you'd be a little bit tired by the time that, I don't know, 12 and a half hours have passed. They don't care. Like, they do not care, dog. They want whatever the set rate is for that particular station. They set it at, however many products per minute or per hour. You're expected to do that. This also is compounded by the fact that everything is tracked. Everything is tracked. Not just how fast you're working, but your idle time between every scan. Your idle time between moving packages. So they'll know if you went to the bathroom or not, because it's all tracked. But that's not the crazy part. The crazy part is they'll know where you go to the bathroom at, because the warehouse can't afford heating or ventilation or AC, but they can afford incredibly detailed cameras. And I know what you may be thinking. Cameras? What the crap does that have to do with anything? But the cameras track everything. They're a surveillance state Big Brother, They were able to find me one day because I had pulled out my phone. Yeah. To check the time, to see if it was time for break time. Isn't that crazy? I got written up for that, by the way. I had pulled out my phone to check to make sure if it was time for me to go to break time, because there's no clocks. Why would there be a clock in the factory? You would waste all of your time there if you knew what time it was. But what they were really trying to do was prevent you from going home so you could work more overtime, because if you weren't checking the time, they'd just keep you there as long as they wanted to. And they always needed overtime because they always needed more workers. So, back to my story about pulling out the phone. I pull out my phone, and manager catches me. Mind you, not my manager. I've never seen this manager a day in my life. He catches me pulling out my phone, tells me to put it away. I think, oh, whatever. I was just checking the time. I wasn't even on it for more than literally a second to just hit the home screen, check time, done. But like 2 or 3 hours later, my manager comes up to me with a write-up and a screenshot from the surveillance of my face and a portrait of me from when I did my initial interview. Because, I didn't even know who my manager was, right? Because there's tiers of management in the Amazon warehouse. You have first tier, which is, the basic worker. Then you have, tier 2, which is going to be, the head worker of the area. Basically the person with the most seniority. Not a manager, but they're in charge if the manager's gone. Then you have your, tier 3 manager, which is kind of like an assistant manager. They only run the area that you're designated to work. And there's 4 or 5 of these for the shipping docks. They kind of supervise over 10 to 15, 20 people. But then they have their tier 4 managers, which is the manager for the entire shipping dock. That's the manager who came to me, that tier 4 manager. I've never seen him a day in my life. I didn't even know his freaking name. I don't even know why he was coming up to me. Until he gave me that write-up for checking my phone for half a second. Mind you, you might be thinking, that's a little crazy, but I'm sure they're strict with all of their rules, no? Definitely not. Definitely not. They're not strict with the rules one bit, and it's entirely favoritism based, because whoever chooses to write you up is managerial based and not HR based. And the problem with that is that the infectious disease known as productivity that the upper managers bestow upon the lower managers gets spread to everybody. Which you might be thinking, oh, that can't be that bad. You're being productive for the company, you just need to work harder. Put some effort into your work, buddy. But what you don't realize is that the people who do work hard are the only peoples who opinion matter. So, you get caught, I don't know, sleeping with one of your employees. That's only happened a couple times. And when you do that, you don't get in trouble because you're a productive employee and you're so good for the company. And then the crazy part is the employee you sleep with then gets promoted. Isn't that crazy? That's a true story, by the way. That happened. I got hired on in August of 2020. And somewhere around the winter time, a new employee came. This nice young blonde chick. I forget her name. I think it began with a K. So I'm going to call her K. Anyways, my manager, the same one who wrote me up, got caught sleeping with K. Which you might think to yourself, that's probably bad. But it's even more bad because my manager, who, let's call him Dean, has a wife and kids. Okay, Dean, you've been here for 8 years. A good manager. What's the way to satisfy this? Kay now gets a promotion in 1 month of working there. Mind you, I don't think I've ever seen Kay work any crazy amount of product. I mean, Kay wasn't a bad worker by any means, but I wouldn't call her exactly the best employee. And right when I realized that was about the winter time, I realized that I probably don't want to work for Amazon anymore. Along with this, you get to realize that during Amazon, a crap ton of people order stuff during the holiday season. When I mean a crap ton, I literally mean a crap ton. I normally was working 36 hours a week. That's 3 overnight 12s, but during the holiday season, you get 5 11-hour shifts. I don't know if you added that up, but that's 55 hours a week. And you do that for a month, basically all of December and the beginning of January. And when you do that, it wears on your body more. Remember, like I was saying earlier, your fingers hurt from moving all those totes. Yeah, that gets compounded because you get to do it for day 4 and day 5. So injuries skyrocket during this time. People leave like crazy, and you're perpetually understaffed. But finger injuries aren't the only injuries that occur, because what you realize is when you're walking on concrete or standing on concrete for 11 hours a day because Amazon doesn't want you to sit, again, must be as productive as possible for the company. Wouldn't want you sitting and taking a break now, would we? Huh? No. Knee, ankle, foot injuries skyrocket. I had it happen to me too. I was 19. I was 18. And I had a knee injury that debilitated me for a week. I basically got runner's knee in my knee really bad because you were walking for some nights like 20 miles a night on the concrete. And I don't know about you guys, but I just got out of high school and I did not walk 20 miles a day in high school, especially not standing on my feet for 11 hours, walking 20 miles, it being on concrete. By the way, none of any of that was covered by the company because deemed non-work related. Yeah, you see, non-work related. This is kind of the entire experience at Amazon. I worked there like 8 months. I had to quit. I just got so fed up with it that they forced me out. For $17.40 an hour, I was done. I had realized this around the time of the holiday season because of the 55-hour work weeks. But the real stinger was this. The real stinger was that when you work there for 6 months, you get your first raise of 5 cents an hour, baby. 5 cents. For those of you who don't know, a 5 cent an hour raise is like nothing. I don't know if you did the math on that, but it's literally a couple $100 more a year. It's disgusting. In fact, it's a slap in the face. A spit on you. Hakatui. Huck-Tui, and it's just disgusting. I never really looked in the pay scale for the job because I wasn't going to be there for long, but I think around 1 year you get like a 25 cent an hour raise. Again, that's like a $500 raise. That's not $500 a paycheck, by the way. That's $500 a year raise. And then after that, it's like a 50 cent raise or $1 an hour raise every year after that. I can't remember, and I'm not going to look it up because I don't care. I don't know what the raise is at this point in time. I'd have to go look back through it, but I'm sure it's not much better. Amazon is pretty sucky at this point. At this point in time, looks like Amazon's around somewhere between $18.50 an hour to $29 an hour, depending on where you go. Obviously, that's cost of living adjusted. But obviously, I was paid so low because I'm in a low cost of living area. You know, I live in the Midwest, and while I do live near one of the bigger cities in the Midwest, definitely not one of the bigger cities in the entire United States, the cost of living is pretty cheap here, and you can get away with paying $17.40 an hour. But that is diabolical. I mean, near me, McDonald's jobs are now paying $15.20 an hour. So if they're still paying $18.50, that's crazy considering how at the time that I was working at Amazon, McDonald's was like $11 an hour. But that's just a long laundry list of every reason why Amazon blows. I'm going to get into some more specific stories. I have plenty more to go, but this recording is already long as crap. So if you want to hear some more stories, I got some more. I mean, I was only there for 8 months, but I got some killer stories. Be sure to leave a like. Be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions for me, I'll answer them down below. I can't get too specific, but at this point, I'm done with this video, so have a good night, guys.